It's Dirt Night in America, and welcome along to Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing. We begin, as ever, with the Spec Championship, and fixed setups mean the drivers can focus on the challenge at hand, and that is mastering the Big House. Welcome along to Round 2 in 2024, and for the first time, our Junior Kanky Party joined alongside by the one, the only, Joshua Lee. Josh, we missed you a week ago, but we're so happy to have Jumpy Trucks back on RaceSpotTV and to have you back in the commentary booth. How excited are you to go racing here at the Big House with the Land Rush 10 Wide Star?
Well, it truly is special. When you think of car and track combos, you think of NASCAR stock cars at Daytona, you think of Indy cars at Indianapolis, you think of pro trucks at Crandon, and it's no doubt in my mind why we're going to Crandon twice and Bark River twice, two of the most exciting tracks in real-life short course and iRacing short course. And I'm excited to see what these Pro 2 drivers do in both the Spec and the Open class. Only the second season of both of these classes, and already in round number 1, Arjuna, we've seen the excitement from both of the series, especially, I think, in Spec, having some very, very close and exciting racing at the front of the field.
I think the championship battle is going to be very intriguing as well. We'll talk about those in a few moments' time, but after this, we've got a trip over to the Bull Rings, to the shorter tracks, Wild West, and then, well, the renamed Firebird Motorsports Park before a week off, and then we get ready to go racing for those final 2 rounds and the only repeat round of the championship. You mentioned as well, it's quite new, this split into Spec and Open championships, where of course experienced racers have to dial in their Pro 2 trucks with 700 horsepower and 2-wheel drive. As we get ready to go for the qualifying session, which is underway, drivers get the track to themselves and then they set the grid for the first of 2 10-lap features. Now, there's an inverted top 3, but let's be honest, Josh, when we go racing down in towards turn number 5 on the 10-wide start, it doesn't really matter on that inverted top 3. You just want to make sure you get a good launch and stay out of trouble.
might be the one track where the invert number does not matter. They're going to start right off of turn number 5, basically right where turn number 4 is, to the outside of the track on the grass. A couple of whoops in a whoop section before you dive your way into turn 5, being the pseudo turn number 1 for that initial start. And we take a look high above the Crandon International Raceway. That first lap is really going to include turns 5, 6, 7, and 8 up until that start finish line. Then the real first lap begins, and so we're gonna run more laps than on the docket tonight. But this track just so special, especially the long configuration, that long back straightaway into the left hand hairpin around the tree, and then over another whoop section right next to the land rush start. High speed into turn 5. These Pro 2 trucks like it a little bit less than the Pro 4s. These things are a handful, especially in those high-speed corners.
We saw some interesting racing last time. Quickly touch on the championship, where, of course, race winners Cody Retzlaff and Crystal King at the very top of the championship standings. Of course, defending champion Crystal King looking to try and reassert herself maybe a little bit closer to the front, because every position is worth 2 points, and so it becomes as simple as that as we work our way through the course of this season. Josh, every position is going to be crucial. We know the championship may come down to single digits by the time we return to the big house for the season finale.
It very much will, and I was very impressed with what I saw last season from Crystal King in this Spec Class Championship. I was very impressed with what I saw last week at Bark River. Very impressed with what I saw in practice as well from her. Currently sitting P19, not exactly where she wants to be, and make that P20 actually, as some drivers lay down some quicker times. But this one machine is quick. Won race number 1 last week, got on the podium in 3rd place in race number 2, and she'll dive her way into turn number 5. Trying to improve on the 120.34 that she laid down. And fastest time, a 118.5 from Matt Bennett, another driver who had some pretty good results last week, an 11th and a 4th, but looking to get better off as he sits top of the board in qualifying.
Remember, the difference between these Pro 4 and Pro 2 trucks that are on your screen right now is just really down to the amount of, well, grip you can get with the 4-wheel drive versus 2-wheel drive nature of the machines. It's going to be very evident when we go racing just how much these drivers are focused on momentum and really trying to make sure they don't lose too much of that out of the final corner. Calamity corner, no major dramas there for King, who shaves 1.3 seconds off the time, but still around 6 cents, or excuse me, half a second off, into 5th momentarily as Joey Herbie slides his way on forward. But look at the margin at the front, 6 thousandths between Matt Bennett and Cameron McGijic.
That's close between those two drivers as we take a look at Matt Bennett sending it into the left-hander. These Pro 2 trucks, if you're used to watching the Pro 4s in the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series, these trucks, they're a lot more lazy in the front end. That is because, well, they're only rear-wheel drive. You got to keep that momentum going. You want to keep those front tires moving. The second they stop, you are going to lose all of your momentum in an instant, and you're going to see a lot of trucks start trying to go by you in a hurry. So you got to keep the momentum going, keep those front tires circulating, and the rear tires even though you have drive in the rear with no drive in the front, those things tend to try and spool up a little bit quicker with 700 horses powering them.
As soon, by the way, as this clock strikes 0, the session will come to a grinding halt. So flying laps count at this point, and the pressure really building, I'm sure, on some drivers. Brock Smith, Zach Clifton, Nathan Ramsey, and Rance Llewellyn amongst a handful of drivers with no times on the board. We have 26 trucks that do have times. We're going to have 3 rows of 10 wide on the race start. That's going to be absolute insanity. Crystal King runs to the line, is not going to set a time, so that means that she's just running around for a little bit more practice. Not quite sure who is actually setting a representative lap time in these closing stages.
Saw Wes Graham there for a moment. He sits P15, but as the clock winds down in qualifying, Arjuna, Wes Graham goes up to P9, by the way. He lays down a time. Cameron McGijic, Matt Bennett, the front 2, but really your front row is going to be all the way down to Pacey Wygant in P10. These land rush starts, especially 3 rows of 10 deep, Arjuna. This is going to be interesting, and I think we're going to see a little bit of calamity first time into turn 1.
And I guess technically we should highlight, right, the fact that Matt Bennett, Cameron McGijic, and Cody Retzlaff will get inverted. Only reason we should do so is in the Pro 4s we sometimes see, starting on the very inside, can be the best place to line up. But in these two-wheel drive machines, how important is it going to be to maintain that rush off the line and get the clutch drop? Well, no clutch in these machines, so let's find out how they'll do. And the championship leader, Cody Retzlaff, will be on the very inside with Cameron McGidget, Matt Bennett, Joey Herbie, Crystal King, and then Nick Nowak all on the front row alongside with Brent Smith, Dominic Burhoot, Wes Gray and Pacey Wygent, and then Alex Lajeunesse, James Mensch line up on the inside of row number 2. We're going to cycle through these names as quick as possible. Don't know how much time we have, so Austin Schreiber, Tom Grady joins us in the spec class, but we know how experienced he is in the Pro 4s. Trevor Teal, Cody Harrelson, and then Solomon Borschinger, and then Kenny Hoffman make up the top 18, with Colton Buchanan and Corey Crowther on the very outside of row 2. Miles Morris, Cole Fisher, Austin McLaughlin, and then Rylan Rogers, the top 24, with Bobby Blowers, Donnie Batiste, Brock Smith, Zach Clifton, and Rance Llewellyn making up the 29 machines. We blew through the names and just in the nick of time, because they rev the engines and off and away we get ready to go here at the Big House for round 2 of Next Level Racing Racecraft Off-Road. Look at that sight. It's glorious as they fend their way down in towards turn number 5. Plenty of slipping at the back and the mid of the packs, and there's a little bit of argy-bargy down from 4th and then a little bit further back as well. But clean at the front for Cody Retzlaff as chaos behind him.
Crystal King lost a fender on the start. Zach Clifton, Donnie Batiste going to get hooked up together, but side by side to the front as McGishik takes the lead. Cody Retzlaff, points leader, into P2. The dive as they go into the corner. Retzlaff looks for the race lead, looking for 3rd is Colton Buchanan as he goes side by side with Brent Smith, who's going to have that number 45 into 3rd for a moment. They'll officially start lap number 1 this time by the start-finish line, and McGishik takes the lead. Retzlaff is going to have to be on the offense for the first time tonight.
Colton Buchanan apparently has gone from 19th up to 3rd. That's wild. It shows how quickly these land rush starts can really swing around. Now, are we going to see some drivers try to break away as we filter onto the back straightaway? One driver very, very wide and out of the pack for a moment. That might have been Borschinger as Crystal King tried to take advantage and slide her way back on forward through the field. But I'm seeing 3 or 4 drivers with double-digit gains already as Cody Retzlaff tries a challenge to the inside of McGidgick.
Side by side for the lead. You mentioned the gains off of the land rush start. Well, how about the losses? Pacey Wygant and Trevor Teal both losing their hoods. Crystal King did lose a fender as well, and we've got more calamity in the back. That's Zach Clifton getting involved with Rylan Rogers, James Mensch, handful of trucks with a lot of damage now at the back of the field as we rejoin the battle for the front with Buchanan and Smith as Smith goes wide. Nick Nowak's in a battle with Matt Bennett behind for P6.
Welcome back to the world of short course racing on RaceSpotTV, Josh. Great to have you along, and remember, officially coming towards the end of lap number 1 now as we scramble our way back towards Calamity Corner. Crystal King slides past the 91 and up into 8th, although now with a technical issue. Maybe ignore that for the moment. We'll see what happens. No, King off the track.
She got collected by a driver behind. I believe that was the 16 machine that ended up making contact with Crystal King. There's a replay of that land rush start, and you can see Arjuna, it's 3 wide, it's 4 wide. You're really just listening to your spotter to know who's around you. But it was trucks getting turned at the front of the field. You saw the 72 Nitro Circus sim racing machine of Trevor Teal get turned. Here's that contact with Crystal King. I'm not exactly sure who that was behind her, but that was some aggressive contact. Looked to be, I believe Colton Buchanan was off the front nose there for the contact.
And a little bit more of chaos down towards the tree corner at turn 4, and you can see how much fiberglass has gone missing from these Pro 2 machines. Now, good thing is between these 2 main events that we have, we will see the trucks effectively get totally reset without them having to pay any sort of virtual damage bill, but realistically it's allowed the top 5 to now break away at the end of lap 2. This is estimated to be a 7 lap race based on the time remaining, apparently, even though it is set up as the 10 lap session as well. So just keep that in mind as they continue to work their way on forward.
That was Solomon Borschinger Borschinger that actually ended up with that contact from Crystal King, a different Just a Trim Lawn Service Pro 2 truck. Here's a replay of an incident we saw earlier here in the hairpin. It is up to the outside for the 467 and avoids a handful of drivers to his inside. It's a 461 as that Clifton that ended up going by the group there in the hairpin, but at the front, Arjuna, they've spread out a good bit. McGishik has a solid lead over Cody Retzlaff, and Retzlaff has not a stranger to being on the offensive. A second-place finish in race number 1 last week. He did get the win at Bark River in race number 2. Looks to continue his streak of podiums as he tries to finish behind McGishik, who wants to kind of leave Bark River in his rearview mirror. 26th and 19th finished both of those still on the racetrack, but outside the top 15 in both of them. How about going from those results at Bark River to winning at Crandon in 1 week?
Meanwhile, as the pack slightly further behind continues to juke behind, got to wonder in the land rush start that is to follow how much the drivers learnt from what they've already experienced. We mentioned just how difficult it can be to get off the line. How will they all adapt to the challenges that still have yet to present themselves? Now these top two increasingly breaking away from Colton Buchanan, Brent Smith and Nick Nowak. Let's go back to the heart of the pack though, because we've got 29 machines that saw the green flag, Josh. There's a deep field, plenty of championship storylines to talk about, and this the battle for 7th and behind.
Austin Schieber, Miles Morse going side by side, and you can see Borschinger and Hoffman behind. Just behind this group as well is Lajeunesse. It's Matt Bennett. It's Crystal King who's trying to make her way back up through the field to salvage a good bit of points. But up and over the whip section, this middle group goes. You can see all the damage to these trucks, Arjuna, but they are not sacrificed in speed. If anything, a little bit of weight coming off these trucks is going to give them a little bit more speed as the send to the inside for the 73. The crossover from Schieber as we look on board with the Just a Trim Lawn Service number 71, a Solomon Borschinger.
You can see as well, right, how much the rear end is just sliding around there, always pirouetting on a pendulum effectively. How much lateral slide and momentum can they afford before they start to lose out in a straight line? They're going to get clumsy in front, and around goes the Just a Trim machine. Austin Schieber, the one that loses out, and rack up another incident for race control to dive their teeth into at the very end of the race. This time by, though, 4 laps complete. Officially, your top two are broken away. Cody Retzlaff and Cameron McGishik fighting at the front of the field.
And you can see that send that we just saw to the inside as Austin Schieber goes to the top of the timing tower. He just towed it back to the pit lane. There it goes, fixing itself. But that send to the inside that we just saw from Retzlaff, he's going to need to do that again. But if he wants to make that pass work, it's very backwards to say, especially in motorsport. But I think he needs a little bit of contact to make that work. He needs to break up the momentum from Cameron McGishik. You can't rely on a mistake with any driver in Racecraft Off-Road. You cannot rely on mistakes to make the passes. You have to kind of make the pass work for yourself. And as long as McGishik is on rails, doing what he needs to do, keeping that momentum going in the Pro 2s, then Cody Retzlaff is going to need to force this pass to happen as we get a great look on board at that active working suspension in that Pro 2.
5 laps done, 5 now officially left to go in this first main event of the night behind. There's still plenty going on back and forth. But championship stakes, you got to remember, Cody Retzlaff, is he going to think it's worth me fighting hammer and tongs for one position, effectively just 2 points back in the pack? Let's go right back to Borschinger, Bennett and Hoffman. Remember, Matt Bennett had a great effort in qualifying, but land rush, chaotic start. He's now back down in 12th position. It's going to be slightly different when we go racing next time out at Wild West, when we're 2 by 2 and fouled by the pace truck down into the starting zone.
Crandon really is a story of that land rush start. It can make or break your race. We're seeing it made in the sense of Colton Buchanan up 16 spots. We're seeing it kind of break by Matt Bennett being P12 after qualifying within that top 3, or qualifying, I believe, at the top of the board and then ending up 3rd after the invert. Just not what Matt Bennett needed off of that land rush start, as Kenny Hoffman in the Nitro Circus Sim Racing team number 11 trying to chase him down down for that spot. As to the inside of Borschinger goes Matt Bennett. Side by side for a moment as they go through the next couple of corners and down into the final sector here at Crandon. Magishik's going to put another lap behind us. 4 to go as there's the send to the inside and the crossover move made by the 91.
Some good racing. That's what we like to see. They shed all the fiberglass early doors. For a moment there on the landing, Matt Bennett got crossed up. Not quite cattywampus. It's now the move to the inside from Kenny Hoffman that sets it all off. And West the Mess runs into a mess. And, well, chaos ensues for a little bit more further behind. As mentioned, though, 4 to go for your leaders. And at some point, I think you're right. If Cody Retzlaff wants the win, Chrome Horn has to come out.
I don't know if it's exactly going to. I mean, what does Cody Retzlaff have to race for at this point? He's already in second place. He's in a really, really good spot as we look on board with Cameron Magishik in that number 253. Retzlaff does not have a lot to play for. I mean, Magishik wants to try and catch up in the points. You got to wonder how defensive he's going to be if those moves start flying in from Cody Retzlaff. But right now, he's doing everything that he needs to do. Look at the work in that wheel. He is super smooth going through that corner. I would assume super smooth on those throttle, those brake inputs as well. It's exactly what you've got to be in the Pro 2s. The Pro 4s are very much attacking the track and trying to be smooth at the same time. Here, Arjuna, in the Pro 2s, smooth very much is fast. You got to let the moves come to you, or in the sense of Cody Retzlaff, you got to try and make the moves happen while also just kind of letting the truck work in your favor. You're not going to force this truck to do anything you want.
And the onboard as well in that camera angle. Just a reminder, you don't need super high-end equipment to go racing. We've got drivers who have motion rigs and VR. McGidget's got the single screen and a Logitech wheel that most of us started sim racing on. He's continuing to make good use of it. Behind, you could see just how sideways Colton Buchanan got. Not going to see Brent Smith take advantage and make the pass happen. You could just see for a moment, one mistake, almost an opportunity presented. And with 2 laps to go at the line, time winding down, I don't know if Cody Retzlaff is going to have the speed, going to have the willingness to risk trying to make something happen, and it goes wrong for all of them. And so with that, let's go back to where the fighting is. 12th and back as we ride with some more fiberglass going flying.
If you wanted to see that new damage model on these Pro trucks, if you haven't seen it yet, well, there you go. You can see Trevor Teal, that hood flapping up. That was one of the things that the iRacing developers wanted to get in these Pro trucks. This is what you see in real life. It's that body flying. It's the body shaking on these trucks, especially when they get super damaged like that. They're basically flying in the wind with the fiberglass getting all torn up. It's exactly what we see in the sim now as we look on board up to that Nitro Circus sim racing machine up in front. This is Austin McLaughlin in the number 29 looking to make a move to the inside of the number 2 of Kenny Hoffman. Doesn't make that move work as the hood officially goes flying off of that Nitro Circus number 2.
Sometimes it likes to blink itself back into existence as well, but we'll ignore that. Not far away from seeing the white flag, by the way. Don't forget the margin your race leaders have, quite significant with all of the fighting that's being done behind. Tom Grady mentioned how experienced he is. Have seen him in the championship ranks, but he's brand new to the ranks of Racecraft Off-Road and jumped into the 2-wheel drive spec machines. And you can see how much Trevor Teal trying to set it up on the outside in the Nitro Circus sim racing truck. That 72 fending off the advance of the Factory Simsport and Legion Speed Sport 535. Meanwhile, though, back up front, running towards the penultimate corner. White flag about to drop for Magidjic with Retzlaff 1 full second behind.
I think Retzlaff is in the business of too little too late at this point. I don't think he did enough in the middle of this race, but I don't think he really had a lot of cards in his deck that he could play with. I mean, the gap stretched out, and once this gap stretches out in the Pro 2s, you really need to try and make something happen. And while you can't exactly force the truck to do exactly what you want, you kind of got to work with it. You got to be smooth. Well, that kind of all goes out the window if you try and make the other truck your brakes and use the contact to try and get the win. Just what you have to do sometimes in these Pro trucks without wrecking the other driver. If you can use them up as much as you can. Retzlaff never really got an opportunity to use Magishik up. He closes the gap on that 253. inside of a half second. This is going to need a big send in these last couple of corners if he's going to want this win.
Colton Buchanan had an issue, had a small incident down at turn 4, and as they wind their way through the final couple of corners down to the gravel turn for your race leaders, this is what happened behind. Just a little bit out of sorts and bouncing on the entry. Got him cattywampus and sent the back end sliding around, and patient on the rejoin, all things considered. But front of the field and coming around to take the race victory in the first of the main events from the Big House. Through all the chaos, through all the carnage, Cameron McGiddick shines brightest and stands on top here at the Crandon International Raceway.
That was a textbook race from McGiddick. Used the land rush start to his advantage, got out in front, and didn't really put a foot wrong. I mean, that gap extended itself, and the only time that he lost any time behind the 21 was that hairpin turn that we watched where the gap went from 1 second to half a second.
And, well, while they had a less stressful time out front, the likes of Wes Graham, what's the reaction across the line going to tell us? Oh, I don't know how much he enjoyed that one, all things considered.
There's the VR headset going off just to get a little bit of more air. I felt that even after 10 laps in these pro trucks. I'm like, get this VR headset off of me.
Wow, you could see the sweat, I think, as well. The effort being put forward there. Remember, we had a big field take to the green, so still a handful of cars yet to run their way to the line. And we'll grab a look at the race results before a quick break for the drivers before they get gridded up for the second 10-lap running. Oh, it's great to be back at the Big House, and we'll be here to close out the season, of course. Let's take a look at the race results. Unofficial in some ways. Race Control will still have their look through the field and assert any penalties they feel is deemed necessary, but McGiddick, the privateer, out in front of the championship leader Cody Retzlaff, with Brent Smith taking advantage of that mistake from Colton Buchanan to slide his way forward to third. Nick Nowak takes advantage as well in front of the 202, with Cody Harrelson 4K in 6th, Brock Smith down in 7th, and then Bobby Blowers, Alex Lajeunesse, and Miles Morse make up the rest of the top 10. It's Matt Bennett in 11th after a rather interesting rough and tumble first race for him. Trevor Teal 12th in front of Tom Grady, with Wes Graham, Ryland Rogers, Pacey Wygen, Austin McLaughlin, Kenny Hoffman, Donnie Batiste, and Zach Clifton, your top 20. Still going to find James Mensch, Cole Fisher, Corey Crowther, Austin Schreiber, Crystal King. Very disappointed, I'm sure, for her to be down in 25th, with Solomon Borschinger in 26th. Joey Herbie, the first car one lap down before Rance Llewellyn and Dominic Berhuth, unfortunately do not see the end of the race. And if you like that sort of racing, well, don't go anywhere. We've still got plenty more of that to come here on RaceSpotTV and Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing. The third race in 2024 Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing Spec Championship, is in the books. It's time to go once again, though, from the Big House and almost 3 rows of 10 wide chaos. Our Junior Kenki Party joined alongside by Josh Lee. And Josh, welcome back to the ranks of Racecraft Off-Road. How are you feeling after that first race back in the commentary booth?
I just want more. We got 3 races left, 1 spec, 2 open. I want to send these 30 trucks back onto the racetrack off the land rush start, and we will as warm-up wraps up here, Arjuna. But that first race. I think these drivers learned a good bit about what to expect on a 30-truck Land Rush start. See if they use those lessons.
And I think the key thing to learn is expect the unexpected and hope and pray to try and stay out of trouble. Logger's best friend, well, to get up to Calamity Corner first, you must survive. So hope that the race gods are on your side. Dive down trackside, 10 laps of racing to come, and the drivers are eager to be unleashed. It is going to be Brent Smith, Cody Retzlaff, and Cameron McGidgick on the inside of the front row with Nick Nowak, Colton Buchanan, and then Cody Harrelson rounding out your top 6. Brock Smith, Bobby Flowers, and then Alex Lachanesse and Miles Morse your front row with Matt Bennett, Trevor Teal on the inside of row 2 with Tom Grady, Wes Graham, Ryland Rogers, Pacey Wygant, and then Austin McLaughlin and Kenny Hoffman alongside them. And on the outside of row 2, Donny Batiste and Zach Clifton. Row 3, James Mensch, Cole Fisher, Corey Crowther, Austin Schreiber, and then Crystal King, Solomon Borschinger, Joey Herbie, Rance Llewellyn, and Dominic Berhoot. Once again, we blast our way through the names, and just in the nick of time, because the drivers rev their engines, get ready to go racing, and we unleash the drivers of Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing, for one more time. Look at the sight. Almost 29 machines trying to fight their way in towards turn 5 alongside of one another, and on the outside a bit of trouble. Maybe for Cameron McGidgick, he'll drop down through the running order to the tail end of the top 10. Fiberglass glows flying, but leading down to the long left-hander, it's Brent Smith at the front.
It's fiberglass going everywhere, and a truck going everywhere. We've got a big pile-up right before the jump off of turn number 6. Wygant is on their side. Austin McLaughlin's involved. A lot of trucks get damage off of that one, but to the front of the field goes Brent Smith, and we still have a battle for the lead on our hands as Alex Lachanesse is going to be in second place. And how about Cody Retzlaff, who somehow made his way through all the calamity and sits P3 again?
That was wild. You and I, we've seen our share of things in the world of short course racing, but I'm glad I gave the call over to you at the right time, because I don't think my voice would have held up for much longer, and we do have 2 more races to go. Cody Retzlaff slides in front of Lachanesse. That was with authority as well, and now with just Brent Smith in front, they head down to turn 4. This is where they started the race on the right-hand side, so officially a lap of racing or so has been done. They've still got half a lap before they'll see the timing being with that first lap in the books. And I'm looking through the running order. Cole Fisher plus 14, Joey Herbie plus 18, but big losers, Cody Harrelson, Colton Buchanan, Pacey Wygant, and while Brent Smith is doing well, unfortunately Brock Smith down on pit lane.
Surprisingly, one of the only drivers that is still on pit lane. Cody Harrelson and Colton Buchanan made trips to the pit lane after the opening lap festivities, but they have both returned to the racetrack. Brock Smith is now back on the pit exit. Wygant is also back on the racetrack, now waiting on timing and scoring to work its way off. And I think we're good to go now as Brent Smith and Cody Retzlaff go side by side for a moment. Contact just slightly in the air puts Retzlaff back to P2. A little bit of damage to the back end of that truck, but doesn't matter. He doesn't need all the fancy body work as he looks to the inside, trying to get momentum down the straightaway, but that momentum's going to go to the 45 of Brent Smith. Watch the 21 into the hairpin. What does he do as they have to slam on the brakes for the left-hander?
I think he lost a little bit too much of the rear end, tried to slide the truck too much out of turn 3, compromise him a bit too much. Now that we've got the timing tower up, let's see if we can, well, figure out what happens here. It's going to be in the air, is it? So McGidgick is involved as well. The 46 is already up and over, so that's Brock Smith, and they all just continue piling in.
I couldn't catch a number, but that pink truck, it was the 4 of Cody Harrelson. They slammed the dirt off of the ramp, and look, harsh turn over to the right, and then here's the pileup. Just trucks flying everywhere. Pick a lane, try and stick with it. And on the side, does he get the sidewall save? Yes, he does in a 2-wheel drive truck, or yes, she does with Crystal King in the 1. I'd give it a solid 7.957 for the sidewall save there. Pro 2 truck, 2-wheel drive, not easy to do.
Not easy by any means, and I think once again, chaos on the start, and with Buchanan and Hoffman seemingly the only DNFs. Brock Smith 1 lap down, everyone else seemingly surviving. We've got a few more trucks with fiberglass still on their machines at the front of the field. So Brent Smith and Cody Retzlaff have been having this ding-dong battle between them in these opening 2 and a bit laps. Alex Lachenesse, Nick Nowak, Miles Morris, Wes Gray, and Matt Bennett, Joey Herbie, all still potentially in queue. And remarkably, despite being involved in all of the chaos, Cameron McGishik rides in 10th.
Not for long, as here comes James Mensch side by side over the whoops to try and get that spot. That was great work from the 294 as they went through the hairpin corner. Now we look on board with the 253. That Vision Wheel Pro 2 truck got some good momentum and will now try and cover off P10 and try and hold that spot as we have a 72 Nitro Circus sim racing truck that is around. That's Trevor Teal.
That's what happens when Trevor Teal doesn't give us a webcam. So we don't get to see the reaction. And I just wonder if it was maybe contact out through turn 5, maybe contact for the lead, as once again, you can see how much Cody Retzlaff is hunting, but it's just so difficult to find the momentum, find the purchase with just the rear wheels biting into the dirt. They cycle across the line, 3 laps in the books, and with the margin building to Lachenesse behind, Cody Retzlaff continues to try and dig, but there, out of turn 3, once again a bit too much of a wiggle on the rear end, loses some momentum into maybe what is the easiest of the potential passing opportunities.
Now the Pro 4s, while they are 4-wheel drive, they have so much horsepower that they really just want to spin all 4 tires at once. That is something that you got to monitor in both the Pro 4s and the Pro 2s. But I feel like when you're battling in the Pro 4s, you have to kind of think a little bit less, okay, is the juice worth the squeeze? In the Pro 2s, you really got to think about, is this dive to the inside? Is this battle going to make me lose my momentum? Because the second you do that, you really only get 1 shot. If you lose momentum, you're going to pull yourself out of the battle, whether you like it or not. And we can see a big pack of drivers here. They don't really have to think too much about that. They lose a little bit of momentum. They kind of got the help behind, or they've got more trucks behind that they're still going to be within the pack. If I'm Cody Retzlaff at the front, I'm really thinking, is the move going to be worth it, and where is the move going to be worth it to make, so I don't lose all my momentum and end up going from a 4/10 battle to potentially over 1 second at the front of the field.
And again, remember, it's for 2 points. That's all it's worth. If he walks out of this with a pair of 48-point finishes, the race victory pays out 50 points. Whereas McGishik, race winner in the first race tonight, he's down in now 9th position, has just passed Ryland Rogers. But, you know, Crystal King, 2 struggling races in some ways for her. She's fought her way back to 12th in this one so far. I agree with you. The analogy is correct. Is the juice really worth the squeeze? Or do you want to buy an expensive juicer at the end of the season with the rewards you would get for just sitting behind and being patient? I guess that's the thing to think about. Wes Graham alongside of Nick Nowak, though, to the very fast turn 5.
Very fast, and honestly, what I saw earlier in that incident with Trevor Teal, I went back and grabbed a quick replay as we look on board with Wes Graham now playing defense to the drivers behind. I saw Trevor Teal, he was full counter steering over to the left and still ended up making contact with the driver to his inside right. That long, high-speed corner, you end up getting off to the side even a little bit, end up drifting the rear end just a little bit more than you wanted, and there's that contact with Trevor Teal again on the replay. You're going to end up not going exactly where you need to go. There's the full counter steering even when he does make contact with that truck.
And I guess I think we were talking about it slightly earlier in the race where it's harder to save these machines as well because you have less grip to take advantage of. And the best way that I've ever had racing described to me was that a tire can go 100% in one way, right? That can either be straight or to the side. Same concept applies with the momentum of this truck. If you want it to go in a straight line, it means you're going to struggle to turn it. And so imagine there's a string attached from the bottom of the steering wheel effectively to the throttle pedal. When you need to turn it, the analogy was given to me, it's going to end up lifting up the throttle. Same kind of thing when it comes to the speed of the truck and what you need to do. very, very interesting the way that drivers try and describe how they try and find speed and all of that. And race car drivers, virtual race car drivers, it doesn't matter. Josh, we all like to use race car hands.
And finding the speed and keeping the momentum in these Pro 2 trucks really is an art, as we see the side-by-side with Matt Bennett. Miles Morse to the inside in the 73. He washes up the racetrack in the final corner, turn 8. And now grabbing that spot will be the 73. Now goes to the defense as he's got the 254 in front, the 8 behind of this 2-truck battle. But keeping the momentum, you still got to remember, Arjuna, while it really is throttle heavy, you're on the throttle for the majority of the lap, you still got to slow the truck down for corners. You take your foot all the way off the throttle, you slam on the brake. What do you have to do after you slam on the brake? Slam on the throttle. 2-wheel drive, 700 horsepower on dirt. You're going to do nothing but spin those wheels. You have to keep the throttle in, keep those wheels turning. You never want to let out of that gas for more than a split second, or else they're going to have to get right back on it. And there you go. Spin the tires, lose the momentum.
And I guess I've just learned something from you, Josh. You're telling me that I shouldn't be just driving into the trucks in front of me to try and slow down?
Listen, you can use them as brakes, but I think especially in official series, them nor your safety rating is really going to enjoy that.
It's okay. Nimcross never has to find out about it if I do it in an AI session, right? Anyway, cross the line. 3 laps to go, and Brent Smith, to his credit, has given a bit of a fade here to Cody Retzlaff. Margin grows around 3/4 of a second as they scramble out of that first sector. Whoa, for a moment, Brent Smith got very, very sideways. And I love watching how busy these trucks are, how much they're having to work. I think Matt Bennett's going to have to do some work. He's dropped down to 12th position.
Might have been some contact in that 223. I don't know if I see more body damage. Let's see exactly what happened. He goes to the inside of Miles Morse in the 73, washes out, and you can see that split second that he washed out the back end of that truck. Could not keep it going in the straight line that he wanted, and Wes Graham, no fault of his own. The truck just lost momentum in front of him and ended up basically all but stopping in the middle of that corner. Nothing Wes Graham did wrong. Everything Matt Bennett did wrong in that corner, and he ends up down the timing pylon to P12.
I think he might have hit the inside wall. There's a fiberglass hood with some stars on the front of it going flying. I'm not quite sure who that was from, but yeah, Matt Bennett, great effort in qualifying. Just goes to show how difficult this race can really be. Crystal King peeks to the inside of James Mensch, slips up the inside through the gravel turn, and now up into 10th, exactly what the defending champion needs to try and do, although Mensch will try and fight back around the outside in the run to Calamity Corner.
King had to correct a lot coming out of turn 7, but it ended up working out for her. She essentially parked it on the middle of turn 7 and then kept that inside line that she then had for the right-hander of turn 8, and now sits P10 instead of P11 as we look on board for the moment with the PBR Racing number 294 of James Mensch, who goes from defense to offense, and now looking off the back of the one of Crystal King, representing Factory Sim Sport once again this season, looking for a second championship in the spec class. I don't think this is exactly the Crandon that she wanted, but still have 4 more points-paying rounds and 8 total races left to go in the season. It's definitely not the last we're going to see of Crystal King, especially at the front of the field. But P10, good salvage job from her, especially starting P25 when everybody dived into turn 5 off the land rush.
And let's not forget that as this track continued to evolve, these drivers in the Spec Championship don't have the ability to dial in the machine. They have fixed setups, whereas when we go racing in a few moments' time with the Open Championship, those drivers do have the ability for that second main event to dial in as the blue groove starts to be worn into the track, of course, as the rubber gets baked into the surface underneath. One final lap, though, for Brent Smith to go as he files out of turn 3, a little bit wide, but with the margin back to Cody Retzlaff growing to around 4 truck lengths and counting.
As we get ready for that open class race that is coming up next. Unlike in the real world where all the different classes of racing go through and the track really gets some grooming, gets some water, but doesn't really get a clean reset. Well, we will see a clean reset when we go into the open class, being a completely different iRacing session that those drivers will be in. But how about Brent Smith commanding that race from basically the start of this race, starting in first off the land rush start. Very rare, in my opinion, to see a first place driver keep first place off the land rush start and for all 10 laps of a moto. Great work from the 45 of Brent Smith. This is what we're going to see the rest of the season from this 45. I'm excited to see what he can do in the battle for the championship.
And it was more interesting, I think, in so many ways, the fact that after that, Cody Retzlaff was not able to really do anything to unsettle Brent Smith, who comes out of the final corner, a winner in Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing. Brent Smith stands on top at the big house. It'll be Cody Retzlaff and Alex Lajeunesse that grab the rest of the podium spots. But there's going to be plenty of celebrations, although not in the camp of Rylan Rogers, who has taken out Crystal King in the process, who will now watch helplessly as the rest of the field cycles on through.
What on earth?
Oh,
just
Tom
happened?
Grady. OP, sorry.
He gets him back. He got her back on all 4 tires, and she is going to finish the race. That's better than nothing, but that was Rogers getting turned around in turn 8, and then for a split second, slammed reverse to try and keep going, made contact with King, sent her backwards and onto her side.
And again, we've seen plenty, but I don't ever think we've seen as much madness on the land rush starts as we have tonight. And through the rest of the racing, wow, I think we're going to have some stories to talk about with our drivers when they come and chat with us in a few moments' time. Just a handful more drivers to make their way across the line before we can grab a look at those race results. There comes Pacey Wygant with Rance Llewellyn directly behind, and now all trucks have made their way to the end of the race. We can take a look at the race results. And wow, what a drive from Brent Smith in the 906 Dirt Machine. Cody Retzlaff unable to make his impact really felt with the Team Rogue machine, holding on to the championship lead with a pair of second place finishes, and Alex Lajeunesse grabbing the final spot on the podium in main event number 4 of the season. Wes Graham, Miles Morse, and Cameron McGijic round out your top 6, with Nick Nowak, Joey Herbie, James mentioned, Rylan Rogers still raking it across the line in 10th position. Joey Herbie, the biggest mover of the race, up in 19 positions gained. Matt Bennett down in 11th. Corey Crowther is behind him with Donnie Batiste, Tom Grady, and then Cody Harrelson making up the rest of the top 15. It'll be Crystal King, Cole Fisher, Austin Schreiber, Solomon Bershinger, and then Bobby Blowers, the top 20. And still on the lead lap for Austin McLaughlin, for Zach Clifton, Pacey Wygant, and Rance Llewellyn. Unfortunately, Brock Smith down 1 lap. Dominic Bearhoot down 2 laps. Trevor Teal, Colton Buchanan, and Kenny Hoffman unfortunately not getting to see the end. Doesn't seem as though either of our race winners from tonight standing by. So in the meantime, let's see if we can catch up with Alex Lajeunesse, 3rd place in main event number 2 of the night. He's standing by with Joshua Lee.
Well, Alex, a good effort from you tonight in that second race, grabbing P3. Race 1, still a solid finish. Not exactly going the way I think you thought it would go, but how was that race? 30 trucks diving into turn number 1 in the land rush start. How'd you even survive both of those?
The first one I really didn't. Got pretty much pushed to last, but that was, second race was a good start. Got really lucky that kind of tucked in right behind the leader and ended up okay.
These Pro 2 trucks, of course, are a challenge no matter where we go, but Bark River was 24th and 10th for you tonight. You end up leaving with a podium here at Crandon. Still Wild West, Firebird, and another visit to both of those tracks still left on the calendar. But so far in this season, Crandon being a better race for you than Bark River. Does this show a little bit of improvement in these Pro 2 trucks? Does it give you a little bit more confidence going into 2 unique tracks in the next 2 weeks?
Absolutely. I've only got a handful of races in these trucks ever. I started on iRacing in December. So I'm still learning every time I get in the truck, and feeling better every time we drive.
Wild West is wildly different than Crandon, but with all that elevation change, 4 corners on that track, where's the confidence level at as we go back to rolling starts as well, but just equally as hectic turn number 1?
Just kind of hoping to avoid the mess and have a blast. I've been having a lot of fun with this. It's my first ever major series, and you know, if I'm having fun, then I'm winning.
We look forward to seeing the rest of the season with you behind the wheel of that number 254. Alex, congratulations on your podium finish in race number 2 here tonight from Crandon.
Thank you very much.
Great to hear from Alex Lajeunesse, who finishes on the podium in race number 2. Arjuna, you're standing by with the double second place driver and still keeping up his streak of 4 now podiums in a row on the season, Cody Retzlaff.
And more importantly, that championship lead may be growing with already 2 rounds in the books. Cody, how are you feeling after a night of, I think, making sure you grabbed championship points and didn't put yourself in trouble in that land rush chaos?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I got damaged there for both races at the start, so I figured 2 seconds are better than taking myself out and risking points.
We head to the Bull Rings next, of course, Wild West, and then over to Firebird. It's the middle part of the season before we return to these more long and maybe open tracks. How important do you think staying out of trouble and getting the results in the next 2 rounds coming up are going to be to set yourself up for the championship fight that still lies ahead?
It's really important, just putting my head down, getting top 5, top 3s. A win would be good every once in a while, but just staying focused and don't cost me any positions.
Cody, before we let you go as well, I'm going to have to ask, these Pro 2 trucks on the start, is there any benefit to being in a particular place? Because it did kind of feel as though getting the truck off the line, a bit of a lottery, a bit of a roulette game being played across the board.
Yeah, that and wheel spin's pretty important. Just keeping it traction and just not spinning the wheels is the most important thing with these Pro 2s.
Cody, congratulations on the double second places, and we'll see you in a week's time to continue the Spec Championship fight.
Oh, thank you.
Always great to chat to the drivers. Doesn't seem as though we'll get either of the winners for a quick post-race chat, unfortunately. We did mention over to Wild West in 7 days' time. Coverage again to begin at 9 p.m. But you look at the elevation, you look how compact and how tight this track is, Josh. We know we're going to be in for a wild one.
Much different than what we're seeing tonight in Crandon, but Wild West equally as exciting. You can see it's only 4 corners, but that run up to turn number 1, akin to Circuit of the Americas in Austin, and then the dive down the hill. This might be one of my favorite, if not my favorite track to race on, albeit in the Pro 4s. I'm still getting used to the Pro 2s, but I'm looking forward to seeing Wild West as the 3rd round on the calendar for both the Spec and the Open class, and then the newly renamed Firebird Motorsports Park, and then our double dip to Bark River and Crandon.
I think the question is how many times am I going to get that wrong in round number 4? At least once.
I'm trying my best.
Yeah, we'll try our best. But anyway, we've still got more racing left to come here on RaceSpotTV and from the Big House. Don't go anywhere. We've got the Open Championship drivers lined up and ready to go racing coming up next in Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing. time to unleash the big guns in Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing and its Open Championship. 700 horsepower and two-wheel drive. Well, now try and tame it with in-car tools available to get the most of this Pro 2 truck machine. Welcome back to RaceSpotTV. Our Judo Kanki Party joined alongside by Joshua Lee as we get set to go racing. We've talked plenty about the schedule. It's these long open tracks that open up the championship. Let's talk though about how that championship is getting situated with the first two races in the books. It was a difficult opening round, all things considered, for Josh Edmondson. Yes, the win in the first round, but after that, struggles in round two. And let's be honest, Josh, Connor Barry sits on top. You never want to give him a chance to run away with a championship lead.
Not surprised to see Connor Barry in first, but how about the opening round for Sean Winkler? I think the rising star of off-road right now. I have seen nothing but improvement from him. A fourth place and then a second place last week at Bark River. Drake Matag, another fast driver in the top three. Cam Peterson, we're used to seeing him there. Cody Vanderveer, another driver now tied with Josh Edmondson after the unfortunate race number 2 accident and finish that Edmondson had. This is an interesting points battle as we get ready to go racing from the big house.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Just to set the expectations low for you, Cam Peterson, just so you're aware, Josh, he messaged me last week. He hasn't done much racing. He wants us to be aware of that. So just making sure you know. Here's a look at the drivers. You got Keenan Kusin, and then, Drake Mittag got that car behind him. Sean Winkler wants to make sure can sell you a house and sell you second spot in the championship as well. Cam Peterson, Cody Vanderveer, and Connor Parisi in the middle, and then Connor Barry and Josh Edmondson on the bottom as they give us a wave, and we are ready to go racing as mentioned. Those drivers are already on the grid. Let's run you down trackside to see how they'll line up for the 10 laps that lie ahead. And it was struggles, yes, in many ways for Josh Edmondson in the second race last week, but he's put it on pole position for this first race of the night after the inverted top three. Connor Barry and Keaton Swain going to be alongside on that front row, though. Cam Peterson, Sean Winkler, and Cody Winicki round out alongside the top 6, and then 7th goes the way of Anthony James with Zachary Drapkin, Cody Vanderveer, and Taylor Vandenbush, your front row. Drake Mittag and then Robbie Swan inside of row 2 with Connor Parisi, Keenan Kusin, Mike Budson, and then Nathan Matoxen, Greg Johnson, and Christopher Plumley on the outside of row 2 alongside Terry Miller and Paul Mikolijek. Brock Smith apparently also in this race. Not quite sure exactly what's going to happen there. Run down through the grid because they're ready to go racing. But expectations, Josh, from these 21 drivers or so as they're lined up and ready to go.
Not going to be the 30 trucks we saw diving into the first corner off the Land Rush start. However, these drivers in this open class championship, I mean, they are the highlight drivers. Barry, Swain, Peterson, Winicki, Janes, Drapkin. There's a lot of great names that are about to go racing, and it's still going to be an exciting Land Rush start. Will it be any cleaner? I think only time will tell.
Please say yes, is I think the hope.
Well.
Come on!
We'll see.
Are you asking for chaos?
I always am asking for chaos.
Let's be real, so am I. I've got no qualms about the chaos. What I think at the end of the day, though, we also have to start thinking about, right, is championship, because it's a short championship, right? 6 rounds. We've got 2 bull rings to come. If, let's say Connor Barry has another great round, leapfrogs his way to a slightly bigger championship advantage. Who knows how things can come. Of course, he's fresh off his championship win in the 2024 iRacing Short Course National Series, which we had coverage of as well on RaceSpotTV. Final drivers getting their instructions to get gridded up before they get unleashed. Remember, we'll go 10 laps here, invert the top 3, and then do this once again with another 10 laps on the board. There's 100 points up for stakes in the racing lying ahead.
Points on the line, and I think the drivers that are behind Connor Barry in the points need to do just about anything that they can to prevent Barry from getting more. But it's time to go racing in the open class at Crandon.
Let's turn up the roar of the engines here from the big house. Racecraft Off-Road powered by Next Level Racing is green once again. Sean Winkler doesn't get the best of launches as off and away they go through the whoops and running down to turn number 5. Already a bit of contact between the Racecraft and Nitrocross machine, but streaking away down through the opening corner, clear at the front. It's Edmondson, then Winicki, Barry, Vanderveer, and James, the top 5 through the long left-hander.
clean as they come over that big jump. But now to the front of the pack goes Edmondson. It's side by side with Nicky and Barry behind. Vanderveer sits in the 4th spot, side by side, 3 wide further back in the pack. But it is just that, a pack of Pro 2 trucks. Little bit of beating and banging towards the back of the field, but everybody is going to survive the land rush start in the first couple of corners. And here they come to start the official first lap as Edmondson leads Barry, Nicky, Vanderveer, Vanden Bush now going to be at the tail end of the top 5.
And this is why they are the experienced drivers, not just because they have the ability to dial in the setups at the Racecraft out of them maybe expected to be a little bit higher. Zachary Drapkin already gained 3 positions, and around the outside on the red line or machine they'll be 3 wide. They filter off the corner, contact with Vanden Bush. Drake Mittag going to get the drag race 1 in that TCR entry, running down to turn 4. But this is the madness that we expect, and will it allow some breakaways at the front? Very tight to the inside from Vanden Bush. He's now going to get absolutely swarmed, blocks off the momentum from Zachary Drapkin. Fiberglass goes flying. Plumley now tries to fire it alongside of the 56.
Anthony James has momentum to the inside. He's going to get by the number 89 as Plumley and Drapkin look from behind. Drapkin already losing a hood on that number 56, but that's going to give him a little bit of boost on the inside line. What a move from the 56 of Drapkin. He slams the door of Anthony James, goes middle 3 wide, and will pass 2 trucks with an inside move. Plumley's still in this. He looks to make it 3 wide, but Drapkin's going to cover off the spot at the front of this group. He goes to P6.
Oh, it's great Racecraft. Let's not forget Drapkin set the world alight in the iRacing Off-Road All-Stars. We talked often about how he could and should have been a championship contender in the main championship series. Sean Winkler dropping down to 12th. He's been the, I think, unfortunate recipient of the most positions bled alongside of Cam Peterson since this race start. But front of the field, are we seeing a breakaway? Don't think the answer to that one is just yet, because now that Zachary Drapkin's in 6th, he's trying to close the gap. There's a look at Drake Mittag and Cody Vanderveer, 4th and 5th positions respectively.
The tag trying to catch up to this lead group, who's about 4 trucks strong right now. That's Vanderveer and Nicky 3rd and 4th. Barry trying to catch up to Edmondson. Barry had a nose to the inside of Edmondson for a moment, but these 2 at the front, you could really tell that these drivers are familiar, not only seeing them at the front as a viewer standpoint, but they're familiar with themselves. Reminds me a lot of Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc racing for a championship and racing at the front of Formula 1 races. They've raced with each other since the start of iRacing short course and iRacing off-road. Now they keep racing with each other. Barry knows Edmondson's strengths and weaknesses. It's the same the other way around.
Teammates, of course, for Nitro Circus Sim Racing, but behind, no real help. There's no Jacob or Foss today in particular, who has been up towards the front in a handful of these short course races. What can Winicky and Vanderveer Mittag do to try and maybe press some advantage and press a bit of pressure as well? We've got 10 minutes or so maybe still estimated on the 3rd of 10 laps so far. And I love this format, the 10-lap main events that we have here. Equal lengths, equal points apiece, let's not forget. There's a lot to focus on for these drivers, and just a reminder, 50 points for the race win, 2 points down a position to the very back end of the pack. So that's the advantage, the incentive for drivers thinking about trying to move their way forward.
Since we have been to this 2 feature races format in Racecraft Off-Road, we've really seen the racing really pick up. It went from heats in an LCQ format plus a feature to just double features, and I think it really makes a lot more sense and really provides these drivers more opportunities. Every single position and every single race matters, because every single race is 4 points. We look on board with the 48 at Cam Peterson and Sean Winkler, and gotta say, it is great to see Cam Peterson in the Sim Magic 48 back to racing, and might not be as regular as it used to be for him, Arjuna, but he's still got the Pimax VR headset on and that Nitro Circus Sim Racing team colors on the side of that number 48. Love to see him back in the driver's seat, sitting P9, trying to get by Christopher Plumley right now, but with a lot of damage to that number 48, he's had his fair share of moments so far.
It doesn't look like he's got the motion rig, though, so maybe we'll have to ask him if he grabs a podium or a win through the season, if he's still being shaken around in the full immersion that he experienced and showcased in the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series for us. in his webcam feed as well. Edmondson and Barry still slogging at the front, but now buffer building behind. Winicki's dropped back to a full second. Van der Veer, the margin grows as well. He's got pressure from Drake Mittag with Zachary Drapkin, and Keaton Swain trying to close as well. That Sim Coaches Factory Sim Sport number 21 qualified very well. Front of the field, let's not forget, having to fight its way forward in racing conditions.
Keaton Swain back in 7th is a little bit of an unfamiliar territory, I think, for him. We saw it a bit in the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series in the last 2 years, but used to seeing Swain more up towards the front. But 14th and 13th in the 2 races last week at Bark River. Fortunately, just what we've been seeing in the Pro 2 from Keaton Swain so far this season is we go on board now with that number 21, trying to look his way past the 56. A Drapkin crossover move attempt goes 3 wide for a moment, and that is exactly how you make a pass work in that corner here at Crandon. Look at all that momentum that the 21's gonna have. He's got the advantage going into the hairpin. A little bit of contact with the 56. Parks it on the apex. Does he hold the spot? Oh, yes, he will, as the momentum bleeds off for the 56. That was almost textbook perfect from the 21 to go up into P6.
Loving what we're seeing as well, because again, remember, 20 or so trucks qualified, still 19 out there and running. This is what happened first for Anthony James. Well, as you can see, lost the momentum, and good job from everyone to avoid running into him. Good job from his side to avoid rejoining unsafely. And use the F3 box. iRacing gives you the tool. You might as well take advantage of it. Something that, let's be honest, plenty of drivers unfortunately sometimes don't do. There was also a bit of chaos further back, and through Calamity Corner, guess what, Calamity?
That's the 89 running of Taylor Vandenbush running into almost his teammate, but ended up running into the, looks like the 156. And there's contact with the 37 up on the top, 19. There goes the 150, excuse me, of Johnson. And then 2 just to trim lawn service drivers getting involved in that one. But Drake Mittag trying to get involved with Keaton Swain again. Side by side, he's doing the exact same move that Swain just did to him.
And it's a real pushing affair between the two of them now. Now Swain on the outside should be able to get the drive, the momentum off the corner, but it also compromises them down into turn 5 very, very fast. Being on the inside, I don't think necessarily optimal, and they'll lean on one another. Look how much of a margin Keaton Swain had to that inside wall. He just about made it work, but now left a long way around, having to make his momentum count around the long left-hander of turn 6. All this while your leaders increasingly close, and the slide job incoming. Here comes Connor Barry to the inside, and with a block on Josh Edmondson, takes over the lead with 4 laps left to go at the line.
That's the Connor Barry special, the dive to the inside, the block in the middle of the corner. Now Edmondson's got to respond. He goes back to offense, which he has not been this season. He started on the invert pole for race number 1 last week and ended up winning that race. It's the first time we're seeing the Nitro Cross number 1 go into an offensive position. Looks to the inside through the left-hander. He's not going to get the momentum that he needs. Does he make a dive into the hairpin? Does he want to try and contest? This might be one of the only opportunities he's got with Barry being so close.
I think the interesting thing with Josh as well is he likes these Pro 2s more than the Pro 4s. He's told us that before. And I distinctly remember the one time we went Pro 2 racing in, what was it, the All-Star Invitational that we had for the Off-Road Championship Series. Guess who won? Certain Edmondson. Let's see what he can do, though. Now, like you say, place on the offensive, and with Winicki not too far behind, Van der Veer, Grappa's Grove. I think we should give a shout out here to Cody Winicki, because, you know, to keep up with 2 of the very best that short course has to offer, with Keaton Swain closing from behind as well, he's just tried to make the pass on Cody Van der Veer. It's been an admirable effort from the 903 so far.
Swain looks to the top side on the 59, but I echo the same statements about the 903 and Winicki. Great run tonight from Cody in P3, and he is not exactly within that lead battle. He's not contesting Barry or Edmondson yet, but he is within striking distance that any major mistakes from the 2 or the 1, or if they end up making contact with each other, then he's in a great spot to try and pick up the pieces. But Edmondson trying to stay weary around his teammate. I always mention with these Nitro Circus sim racing team drivers that I feel like if they end up pulling team orders or laying up for their teammates, that their teammates would almost be offended. Like, oh, you think I'm so slow that you had to let me go through? Nuh-uh, I'm going to pass you fair and square.
And while we watch this, let's not forget there's so much fighting through the field. That's why we love racing across of iRacing. You always find battles, and no different for the likes of Taylor Vandenbush and Connor Parisi. I mean, look how much fiberglass the both of them have managed to shuck off those machines. Vandenbush almost shucks himself off to the inside, but good save. I've got to say as well, we had a long period on RaceSpot where we didn't get to talk too much about dirt racing as a whole. We started back with Racecraft Rallycross last year. Now we've got the Pro 2 Truck Series as well. There's nothing like it. And if you haven't done it on iRacing, well, there's plenty of free content for you to jump into as well.
It on the dirt road ladder. I think it's the most exciting ladder that you can get on, mainly because you get through the rookie classes, you get up to Class D. Well, you can get to racing in the same pro trucks in fixed setup racing that the drivers are racing here tonight. So you can get started tonight on iRacing. And how about this battle between the top three? We look at the lap differences between Connor Berry and Cody Winicky. No sense in my mind why Connor Berry is in the lead. Lap times better than Winicky for the last handful of laps, but 903 stays within striking distance with 2 to go. White flag will come out this time by, and Edmondson being 4/10 behind. I don't think he's got much of a move on Berry unless he is super aggressive on this last lap. But is it worth it? A second place for Edmondson is still going to gain him some points, but obviously a second win on the season for Berry. Oh, he's going to be the first driver across the spec class and across this open class to get multiple race wins on the season.
I think for Edmondson, let's not forget, though, there is going to end up being a point where desperation will set in, and he's not going to be allowed the chance to have a poor result after how the second main event a week ago went. That was out wide from Connor Barry, but he's going to get the power down and see the white flag with the lead still intact. But a mile and a half or so still left to go, and it's going to be a close fight between them. You can see the left side of the screen is going to see plenty of close fights as well. Cam Peterson trying to fight his way back in front of Robbie Swan and Sean Winkler, but hands really working hard for Josh Edmondson, and that small mistake out of turn 3 may have just cost him a chance to fight for the race win.
He knew it too. You can see the disapproval on his face. So he goes into the hairpin. He uses up that banking to try and get a slingshot off of the corner. It's not going to be enough now to catch Connor Berry, and that number 2 never puts a foot wrong, and it's the exact same tonight as we see Cam Peterson. That's the tail end of the top 10, and he did get that spot and hold that spot from Robbie Swan. Now has Winkler in front in the 720 to try and contest with. He's only got a couple of more corners to do so as Berry holds the lead. One final opportunity from Edmondson, but this corner turn 7, not known as much of a dive bomb corner from 4/10 back, and it's exactly what we're going to see as the checkered flag flies.
And again, 2 teammates out front. Yes, they're fighting for a championship, but they're not going to want to come to blows by any means. Out of the final corner, Connor Barry, Mr. Two-Time, Mr. Slicky, across the line and victorious once again in the Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing Open Championship. Pump of the fist, but he knows the job's not done. Still plenty of work left here tonight. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Sean Winkler, Cam Peterson. I couldn't quite tell who won that one. And where is Zachary Drapkid?
He wanted to take a scenic route to the finish, clearly. Whether he wanted to or was forced to, I'll leave that up to everybody's judgment. But I think he had a little bit of problems coming through turn 8. Ended up making contact with a truck and then ended up making contact with the inside wall. Got turned around, and we'll see that replay now. There's the contact with Matag, hits the inside wall, then slams it into reverse.
And
it's the
I think technically did cross the line before he's come back around.
Did that count? Where does the line end?
We'll find out when we go and look at the results. I'll be honest in saying I've got no clue. Oh my goodness. That's gonna sometimes we commentators actually have never seen something. Zachary Drapkin has scored an 8th. That is bizarre, in front of the Just a Trim machine that I thought would have beaten him anyway. Connor Barry and Josh Edmondson, Nitro Circus Sim Racing 1 and 2, with Cody Winicky back in 3rd. Very, very good effort from him. Keaton Swain charging his way up to 4th. Vanderveer, Mittag, Plumley, Drapkin, Peterson and Winkler make up the rest of the top 10 before you get down to Robbie Swan, Connor Parisi, Taylor Vandenbush, Greg Johnson, Paul Mikalajic, Keenan Kusin, who makes his first appearance this season after stepping up into the Spec Championship, Mike Budzing, Anthony James and then Nathan Matoxin before Terry Miller did not end up seeing the green flag, neither did Brock Smith. Well, again, there's a first for everything on RaceSpotTV and short course commentary. Apparently you can cross the line by going off on the left-hand side.
I didn't know the timing line for the start-finish goes all the way into the grass. The more you know. Does it go all the way to the jump? This is a good thing to test and test drive, I think, after this. But back to the racing. That was a very, very exciting first race in the open class. I'm very happy with what I am seeing from these open class guys. And I also think that we're going to see a very, very impressive race number 2 as well. Top 3 get inverted. Not going to matter a whole lot on the Land Rush start, but do we see the same drivers be successful in a second Land Rush start as we see all of our drivers that we've got in our RaceSpotTV Zoom call tonight? I think the only one that is sticking out to me is Keenan Kusin. Of course, the purple hair really does stick out, but also I think the best quality camera as well. It's got that streamer hardware.
That's a good point. No, he has gone to the effort of making sure we get that streaming camera as well. And we can't quite see John Cena's face getting cut off, but what a background and memorabilia on display as well. Always great to be able to peek into the backgrounds, or in the case of Cam Peterson, it was just a void of black.
Disappearing with his VR headset.
Oh, I mean, he's trying to make sure that Detective Lee and Kanky Party cannot get on the case.
The fake green screen in Zoom is also trying its best to send Cam Peterson into the ether, but it's not doing a great job.
That's a good point. That is the Zoom green screen thing. Now, they're all in the RaceSpot Zoom. Is there a way for us to turn off the green screen?
I don't think it's possible. That'd be very, very funny if it was.
I mean, if it is, that would be great. But we'll find out. After this, we'll send the RaceSpot goblins off to try and figure out, because again, the detectives have to get on the case. Ready to go racing, though. We'll take a look at the starting grid. And again, remember, 2 rows of 10 rather, 20 total trucks will get unleashed down to turn 5 at speeds in excess of 100 miles an hour. They'll slide their way down the hill and get underway for the 10 laps of racing that lies ahead. Starting grid, we'll see Cody Winicky on the very inside of Josh Edmondson, Connor Barry, Keaton Swain, Cody Vanderveer, and Drake Mittag. Again, remember, they'll be alongside of Christopher Plumley, Zachary Drapkin, Cam Peterson, Sean Winkler, and then back to row 2 to find Robbie Swan and Connor Parisi inside of Taylor Vandenbush, Greg Johnson, Paul Mikalajic, Keenan Kusin, Mike Budzin, and then Anthony Jane. Don't forget Nathan Matoxin going to line up on the very outside of that second row. Don't think we'll see Terry Miller or Brock Smith rolling out for the second of our feature races in this Open Championship. You can hear the rumble of the engines, can't hear them fired up and singing in symphony just yet. So, time to put you on the spot. Who comes out on top?
It's going to be whoever ends up crossing the line first and whoever gets through this Land Rush start.
Well, there they go, off and away, and decent start on the inside for Cody Winicky. He's already got the measure of Josh Edmondson and Connor Barry. It's sweeping around the outside that the challengers will come from. And what a challenge from Cam Peterson. He'll slide his way to the inside, take over the race lead as we funnel 3 and 4 wide behind. Connor Barry gets mixed up. Might have been one of the under Nitro Circus machines as well. It's a battle between Peterson and Winicky at the front of the field.
That's the Cam Peterson I know. That's the Cam Peterson that has been one of the best in iRacing Off-Road, and he is going to take the lead as Winicky gets contact with Drake Mittag. Christopher Plumley, they're 3 wide for second as they go into turn number 8. They'll start the official first lap. They're still making contact. Plumley loses a hood as they all slam into each other, still 3 wide towards the middle of the pack. but Edmondson is going to get the best off of that group. He goes to third, pushes Matag to fourth, Winicky into second, but Cam Peterson is back to the lead of a Racecraft Off-Road race.
It's great to see, and now can his lanky legs see him build up the advantage over a driver that was very consistent in the first race, did not put a foot wrong, let's be honest. Edmondson has now got to take advantage. It was another Nitro Circus sim racing machine, Connor Parisi, that got tangled up on that race start, and we're very curious to see what the replay will show us from Connor Barry's perspective. He's back in 15th with plenty of work to do.
Luckily, he does have a solid Rolodex of points that he can fall back on, but he needs to keep the momentum going as he makes contact with Greg Johnson in front, moves him out of the way, up to 14th. Goes to number 2, body panels shaking in the wind as Barry has to come back now on the 50. Greg Johnson with a great defensive move to try and hold on to this spot. But there's the classic Connor Barry, goes to the inside, parks it on the apex, and takes that spot away.
Yeah, that Team Watson racing truck got tangled up through Calamity Corner, so may not be feeling rather like I want to sit down and let others just fly on through. Now that we've got the first lap officially in the books, and with Peterson not quite breaking away, but Josh Edmondson putting more pressure onto the back of Cody Winicky than Cam Peterson is feeling from behind, might not be a terrible time to go back and take a look at a couple of replays of that race start. Anthony James, the one that lost out the most through all of this, but keep an eye out for the 2 of Connor Barry as well through the thick of the action.
Barry hits that pylon, also makes contact with another driver within that as well. But look at all of these trucks, and they all, for the most part, other than the one we're taking a look at now, made it through cleanly. There's Barry, who just gets caught on the tail end of his truck on the pylon and goes for a bit of a, it wasn't technically a 360. Did he end up landing a 540, or was that a 720?
Oh, good. He might have over-rotated even, and might not be such an even number.
That's going to hurt his score.
Yeah, exactly. That's you read my mind. Be that as it will, how is this truck still running? Because how hard did that left rear or right rear, whatever it was, hit the wall? These trucks are built out of something stronger than my willpower, that is for sure. Keaton Swain passed by Drake Mittag. That battle by no means done and dusted, and the separation building to the top 4 is now contact from Winkler to the side of the TCR entry, and they'll be alongside into turn 3 as well. Great to watch, but maybe some slow lap times to come. Drapkin gets onto the anchors, avoids running into the back of his Racecraft teammate, who now gets the power down and runs past Drake Mittag.
The aggression that I'm seeing from Sean Winkler, I'm really, really excited to see. He's using the aggression exactly how you should be using it in a Pro 2. Shades, honestly, learning it from teammates, the drivers he races with, Barry, Edmondson, Peterson. He's getting aggressive in this Pro 2, and while it may only have 2-wheel drive, he is using those 2 drive wheels as much as he can as he sends it into the corner, and Zachary Drapkin's going to get P7 on the tag.
And I wonder if that fiberglass can get reattached to the front of the 18. No, it indeed has been separated, so not going to see too much of weirdness. That might also slightly unsettle the drivers. Cody Vanderveer, big look to the inside of gravel corner, but you can see the momentum sliding around the outside. You can see the evolution of the track as well, just visually, how on some corners that darker groove continues to be settled in, but where drivers have been running 2 and 3 wide, dirt's been moved around a lot more. Back up front though, 3 laps complete. Connor Barry sliding down the timing order. Cam Peterson, Cody Winicky, and Josh Edmondson continuing to build points at the front of the field.
Barry had contact. It might have been a little bit of a mistake from his own. We'll see when we get that replay, and here it is. The 19 behind ended up fully turning in, but watch Barry. The 19 maybe could hit the brakes a little bit sooner, but I can't help but think Barry might have over-rotated the truck and scrubbed off a little bit of speed. The 19 got entirely too much momentum in one sheer burst for that not to be partially on the 2.
Now that was a very similar moment to what we saw with Bennett in the Spec Championship, right? So Bennett had already hit the inside wall. I don't think Connor was necessarily on that same trajectory, but got to be careful. very careful in those situations. Barry's still out there, 15th spot for him in front of Mikolajic as Van der Veer, slide job, parks it on exit in front of Mittag. Vandenbush now alongside of Robbie Swan behind them as they once again out through Calamity Corner. See the timing being great fighting in the mid-pack. It's dropping them though from the front where Cam Peterson, lanky legs not carrying him away. Instead, rear view mirror being filled to the side of not one, not two, but 3 different Pro 2 trucks.
Halfway home this time by, and as Peterson looks behind, he's got Winicky, he's got Edmondson, who are on board with now. You can see the downshift into the corner, sends it through the hairpin. That banking on the outside of the hairpin is crucial, especially in these Pro 2s. You can make an aggressive move to the inside, but if you just want to keep your momentum going, keep up with the pack, you got to get those rear tires at least on the banking at the top of that hairpin. As we go on board with Peterson as well, Arjuna, I'm wondering, where does Winicky make the move? Does he even try and make the move? He's got a mirror full of Josh Edmondson that he's also got to worry about.
It's so difficult, isn't it, being in this situation, because we talk about ifs and buts, but the only drivers that really know what's going on are the ones that are behind the wheel. Even the ones that are watching on from the sidelines can only give so much input in this race situation. 5 laps to go. Cam Peterson, that pressure must be building right now. First time in a little while that we've seen him deal with it as well. Can see how close they've all concertinaed up though, within 6/10 or so at the line between these 3 machines. Plumley's there, Swain is there. Winkler's not far off if, Drapkin, Van der Veer and Mittag don't start to squabble in and amongst each other once again. 5 laps to go, this race by no means done and dusted.
Winicky's got more Edmondson in his rearview mirror than he does Peterson out of the windshield. Here's the move from Edmondson. Dive to the inside. Does he come up in time? He doesn't. He stays side by side with Winicky, as Winicky in the 9 is going to get, the 903 is going to get more momentum off that corner. That's exactly what I talked about, Arjuna. Edmondson went for the move, but still with momentum on the outside for the 903, he just used it, drove right back by him, but now Winicky has momentum on the back bumper of the 48. This could be a battle for the race lead in 7. Let's see what he does.
I think it's going to come down to the final lap. I've got no question about that. It's how many trucks are in consideration. The Plum machine is just nestled in behind. No damage on that truck outside of the front hood being missing. It's been aggression from moving forward rather than anything else. Peterson out wide, almost 3 wide, across the line. This could go any which way. Peterson could try and work together with his teammate, Nitro Circus Sim Racing teammates, Edmondson and Peterson, but there's just no way that they'd be able to control up front. Edmondson will try and get the drive off of turn 3 once again, but here comes Cody Winicky for the race lead.
Plum's back in this fight as well. Christopher Plumley sits P4. You're on board with the 48. Does Winicky go for the lead in the hairpin? The defense comes out for the 48, but the move to the inside for the race lead. The 903 goes for it side by side for the moment, but over the whip section, it's nothing but speed for the 48, and he powers his way back to the lead. Winicky stays within striking distance again, but they're gonna need a mistake from Cam Peterson, who since the land rush has been near perfect. As we look on board with Plumley now inserting himself into this battle P4.
And last week, I think it's fair to say, maybe not the most excitement. They got the dream team back together in the commentary booth, and the drivers decided, let's make them shout, let's make them excited. Edmondson, Winicky, a little bit of argy-bargy between them. Out of gravel turn, has opened up the margin once again to the lanky legs of Peterson. But watch Plumley just send it around the outside. Will it work to try and challenge the defending champion? Josh Edmondson has got to cover the inside, but there comes the shove from Plumley. By no means done and dusted, back into line in 4th, and all the while, Sean Winkler, Zachary Drapkin, last lap alone, they closed 0.3 of a second.
Plumley versus Edmondson there. That's what I like to call one-sided contact. It was contact between the two, but Edmondson didn't get nearly as cattywampus as Plumley did, and Plumley loses momentum. Back to the hairpin. Where does Peterson go? He takes a safe line. Winicky does as well. 3 wide for the race lead. Side by side, and contact made for second as the 903 and the 1 get together. That gives Cam Peterson another opportunity to try and pull away. Edmondson still on the outside. and now 1-2 for Nitro Circus Sim Racing.
And that's the move of a champion. Bold around the outside. Christopher Plumley mounts the inside berm, but fortunately doesn't run in to the 903. We've got 2 laps to go at the line. Nitro Circus 1 and 2. And I think Josh Edmondson, to go back to mindsets, right? Cody Retzlaff was content with 2 second place finishes. I don't think Josh Edmondson is going to be so content with 2 second place finishes this time around. He will want to try and get a couple more points for the championship. Cam Peterson, his teammate, though, an interesting target to now lock horns against. 2 more laps to go, though, at the line, and Peterson still leads.
How much longer does he lead for? Peterson versus Edmondson has been a story that I have seen develop more times than I can count, but it hasn't developed much in the last couple of seasons of Racecraft Off-Road. Will it develop again tonight? Peterson and Bark River 5th and 4th. Earlier on tonight, Peterson also walking away with not exactly the finish he was looking for, but it was within the top 10. Now, Peterson leads the way. White flag coming out this time by, and Edmondson finds himself in the exact same spot that he was in race number 1. Teammate in front, Winicky behind. Does he go for the move in this race? On board with the 903 as he watches on from 3rd, wondering if he can get himself back into this fight.
And that corner and that jump, so important to be in the rhythm, to get it set up before you're in the air, because if you're not already rotating, you're going to be off and into the wall. Plumley closes. Winkler's too far behind. 1.5 miles to go at the line, and Cam Peterson is potentially a lap away from another Racecraft Off-Road victory, but it's his teammate behind that may be thinking championship points and wanting to rip the win away from him. Here we go at Crandon International Raceway.
One final lap. Does Edmondson make the move in the hairpin? He's been close the last couple of laps, but he's going to need to set it up right here into the left-hander. What does he do? He gets momentum, but Peterson was perfect. The 48 is going to drive away into the distance. The slight move to the relative box from Josh Edmondson. Looks at the gap, dive to the inside, looks for the momentum, looks to stay side by side, but it's not going to be enough. Peterson pulls away again over the whoops.
And the yoink on the handbrake, you can tell just how much Edmondson wants that rotation to then try and spin himself in a straight line to exit from that corner. We've just got what? This long left-hander, and then gravel turn, calamity corner left to run. The Nitro Circus machine to the inside, but it'll be too little too late surely if Peterson can hold on to his momentum.
Through the final 2 corners, Peterson has the lead. Edmondson looks low. Peterson on the defense. Does Edmondson have momentum? He does. We're side by side for a moment. Can he set it up into the final corner? Turn number 8 is all that's going to settle this race.
Cam Peterson, the lanky legs see him roll it back to victory lane. He rolls back the years as well, and with a nod of the head, he's not as calm behind the collar. Cam Peterson wins at Crandon International Raceway in Racecraft Off-Road, powered by Next Level Racing.
That was 2 teammates going at it for the race win and separated by less than a truck length at the line. What a finish for Nitro Circus Sim Racing team, and what a finish for Peterson and Edmondson, who is going to get some much needed points with Connor Berry finishing outside the top 10.
Celebrations will begin for Cam Peterson as he looks to try and find a spot on track to celebrate. Again, Edmondson, 2 second place finishes for him, but you bring up the disappointment, the struggles for Mr. Two-Time, Slicky. Connor Barry down in 12th, doing a decent recovery job, all things considered. Nitro Circus Sim Racing, though, going to celebrate on top and now grabbing their victory pictures as well. And confirm the stat for me here, but Josh, is that 1, 2, 3, 4 Nitro Circus Sim Racing perfect in terms of victories across the season?
I think you can tell where they got their talent pool from and just how good of a talent pool Nitro Circus Sim Racing team has when it comes to the off-road sector. What double races we had tonight at Crandon. You know, by the way, we've got 4 more races left in the calendar, and one of those is the championship here at Crandon.
We'll return to the big house to do it once again, and will Cam Peterson be able to reinsert himself into a championship equation? We'll have to find out. Josh Edmondson, Nitro Circus Sim Racing 1 and 2, both will be delighted, but so will Cody Winicki. With 2 third-place finishes today, definitely made sure he is one to be counted heading into the mid part of the season. Christopher Plumley in the Factory Simsport Legion machine in 4th. Sean Winkler, Zachary Drapkin, and Cody Vanderveer, the trio of Racecraft machines, 5th, 6th, and 7th spots. Taylor Vandenbush 8th, Robbie Swan 9th, and Keaton Swain dropping down to 10th in the second main event of the day. 11th going the way of Drake Mittag in the TCR entry. Connor Barry, 12th for him, with Nathan Matoxin, Mike Budson, Paul Mikulijek, Greg Johnson, and then Keenan Kusin and Anthony James all on the lead lap. Unlike, unfortunately, for Connor Parisi, Terry Miller did not take to the race start, and so 19 trucks saw the green, only 18 will see the checkered. Let's go down to victory lane then, and let's start with Connor Barry. Let's talk to him after how things went. The race winner from the first race of the evening, standing by with Joshua Lee.
Well, Connor, it was a great first race for you. You walk away with your 2nd race win of the season, but race 2 not exactly going your way. Let's talk about the positive first. Race number 1, 2nd win of the season, showing your speed in the Pro 2 once again here from Crandon. I know this track has just got to speak to you.
Yeah, for sure. We qualified in 2nd, and then we started in 2nd. inside the first race, and we came out in 3rd, and then I went to work and we got the first and we got the win. And then it definitely was a good one. Our speed was good, so I'm glad about that. So it was a very fun event, and we still extended our points gap. So it was still a very good day.
2nd race did not go your way, but with 4 rounds and 8 points-paying races remaining on the calendar, this 2nd race at Crandon going to be put in the rear-view mirrors at all, looking forward now for the championship?
I think so. The biggest thing was just about our speed, and our speed is good. So just have to keep being smart. I know if I can just be smart, then I have a very good shot to win. It's just the 2nd race was fully out of my control, but it's fine. We got 12, so we got some points, and we're gonna go on to the 3rd round.
Well, congratulations on your race win tonight, and looking forward to the rest of the season for you, Connor. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Great to hear from Connor Barry Arjuna, and you're now standing by with teammate at Nitro Circus Sim Racing, Cam Peterson.
He's taken off the VR goggles. He's emerged from the void as a winner again in Racecraft Off-Road. How are you feeling, Cam? You tried to set the expectations low at the start of the season. Things are going well for you in this Pro 2 truck.
Yeah, I think well enough for as much practice as I've had. I jumped on about an hour before this session started, and I think that's all the practice I've really had, and using somebody else's setup as well. Josh makes killer setups, and using his setup, I think it helped me in terms of speed, but driving somebody else's setup is super hard, and super hard to hit the exits and everything so correctly the way you need to compete with these guys. I mean, look at Keaton, Connor, Josh. These guys are so fast, so consistent. Cody too. You showed pace tonight too. So yeah, it was it was a challenge to say the least. I think I've got a lot of the rust knocked off, so to speak, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one.
Gotta ask the question, do you still rock the motion rig?
I sure do. I have it turned down a little bit just because it does turn into a bit of a distraction, because it does it'll dry your brain if you want it to. So no, I just want to keep things smooth, keep it simple. But outside of leagues and stuff, that thing's cranked. It's rocking me back and forth, and yeah, I'm having tons of fun with it.
Sounds great. Great to see you with a smile on your face, having fun here in Racecraft Off-Road as well. And we'll see you next week as we continue on and head to the bull rings.
Thanks so much, Arjuna. Just want to thank the guys at Nitro Circus Sim Racing. Thanks to NLR. Thanks to Sim Magic. Thanks to everyone watching. My girlfriend Hazel, mom, grandma, dad, everyone watching. I always have an audience for some reason. They like to watch this stuff, so I like to watch the stuff back. So thank you to RaceSpot, and yeah, thanks to Josh for putting this on. This is an amazing league. Hats off to Josh and everyone that puts this stuff together. Thank you.
And speaking of, let's have a chat with Josh Edmondson, who's standing by with Joshua Lee. And, well, Josh, meet Josh.
Hey. I've known Josh for way too long, and a lot of conversations have gotten way too confusing when me and Josh Edmondson are in the room. But tonight for you, Josh, of course, last week was first place and a 17th. Tonight it was double second places. Which perspective is it for you leaving tonight? Was it solid finishes for you compared to last week, or did they sting a little bit finishing in the exact same spot but both races?
Yeah, I mean, finishing second is tough because the win's right there. Connor, made a clean pass first race. That was good. I made a couple mistakes. He capitalized, so congrats to him. And Cody was there pressuring us the whole time. And then, yeah, that second one, the start was a little crazier with the invert, and I was lucky to get through there. And then, man, that was just such an awesome battle with Cody Winicky and Plum, and awesome to have Cam back. Obviously, he's always fast, so yeah, that was a cool group of guys to battle with up front there, and I'm happy with the second place, both motos. Definitely a lot better points overall than last week, so I'll take that.
Speaking of the points, Barry on paper still has better finishes. He's still going to have a jump on the points, but with the finish he had in race number 2, you're going to gain a little bit of that back. How aggressive are you going to be with this championship? With Wild West and Firebird up next, the 2 solo tracks on the calendar before we go to the doubles and go into 2 bull ring tracks as well. Is it really aggression in these next 2 weeks to try and turn the wick up before the last couple of rounds?
Kind of. I mean, you have to try and win these races against those guys. Connor's going to be really consistent, and Keaton's had a rough start to the season, but I expect him to be up there. And then, Cody Winicky, man, that guy, I've seen him before the season started. I knew he was going to be up front and fast, and he's proven it. So, I mean, you have to be aggressive, but at the same time, I don't want to get in another wreck like I did last week and lose a bunch of points. So there's certain situations you got to be smart in. It's going to be tough. I think Wild Horse is going to be a crazy one of real hit and miss there, so we'll see.
Double podiums for you tonight. We'll see you next week at Wild West Motorsports Park when we go racing again.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Shout out you guys doing the broadcast. Excited to watch that one back. And then everybody on the team, Nitro Circus Sim Racing, Teal, Cam, both Connors, all the boys there that put in work. And then the sponsors, Next Level Racing, Pimax VR, Apex Gaming PCs, and Racecraft.
Arjuna, great to hear from Josh Edmondson. The double second places for him. A double third place as well for Cody Winicky as we put Crandon in the rearview mirror. We take a look at Wild West Motorsports Park that's coming up next week, June 19th, with coverage beginning same time, same place, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on RaceSpotTV. It's wildly different than Crandon. Pretty much the only similarity is that we're going to race Pro 2 trucks at a track with dirt instead of asphalt. But this track is exciting. That elevated turn number 1, the downhill to turn 2. We've had some of the most exciting moments in iRacing Off-Road happen at the Wild West Motorsports Park. I don't think next week is going to be anything different.
No, it's, again, the run in towards the bull rings, right? 2 shorter tracks, Wild West, and then, is it Wild Horse Pass? Is it Firebird? Well, we'll see what the commentators call it when we make our way out on June 26th to the final short track before Bark River and Crandon. A week off before our championship showdowns, and what fun it will be as we get ready to wrap up 2024 and Racecraft Off-Road powered by Next Level Racing. Plenty more coverage still left to come, but for now, it's time to bid you farewell. Great to have Josh Lee back in the commentary booth alongside myself, Arjuna Kankiparty, to walk you through all the action. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us on this Wednesday evening, and we'll see you in a week's time for Dirt Night on RaceSpotTV when we go racing from the Wild West Motorsports Park. For now, it's goodbye from the world of Racecraft Off-Road powered by Next Level Racing.